Okay, good evening. I hope everyone can hear me. Welcome to our third fortnightly live broadcast by the Korean Friendship Association of the UK and the British Group for the Study of the JUCHE, dear. And tonight, I'm going to be joined by Comrade Alan Bollen, the Organisation Secretary of KFA, who we're pleased to have here on this live broadcast. And I'm going to speak for about half an hour or so, and then I will call Alan uh, to give his short address, and then we will run through the questions. I mean, we're aiming to finish by about 7:30, or possibly later, but we're going to try and avoid going to 8 o'clock if possible. And this live broadcast is on a very general theme, namely, we're talking about uh, refuting anti-DPRK propaganda and the need to strengthen the Korean Friendship Association of the UK through increased involvement, which is very important. I'm going to say a few words about that, and so will Alan. And basically, before I start, well, one very simple announcement, or fact two, uh, is we've restored the Korean Friendship Association of the UK YouTube channel, or basically created another one. So it's back, and I'll post a link later for anyone who needs it. If you need it, please shout in the chat and I will post it. And also remind people we've got a Rumble channel as well, which I've been uploading some videos to recently. And of course, the other practical announcement is on the 6th of April. Finally, we're going to have a real live meeting. We've actually finally booked a room. I had quite a lot of trouble doing that, but it's booked. And of course, we've got an online follow-up meeting for people who can't make it into London. And we've also got the Q&A on the 1st of April, and we've got another film night in a week's time. But anyway, that's just a few practical things to update people. And, you know, before I get into the sort of theme of anti-DPRK propaganda, you know, I'll be, looking at a few key myths. This week there's been a lot of hot air from certain quarters, including the British government, which was issuing statements I found too boring to pay attention to, condemning people's career for actually exercising its sovereign right to self-defense. And of course, not mentioning that recently from the 10th of from the 4th of March to the 14th of March, the US imperialists and South Korean puppets carried out the Freedom Shield war exercises, which were aimed at simulating an invasion of the DPRK, and even so-called decapitation strikes on the supreme leadership. Uh, Very bad, very grave stuff. Very serious provocation to people's career, but these weren't mentioned at all. The fact that the US imperialists and South Korean puppets, and I would also mention Britain, because Britain actually sent forces to participate in Freedom Shield, and also countries like Thailand and others participated. Basically, they're threatening the DPRK's very existence, but it's terrible if the DPRK tries to defend itself by carrying out a number of missile tests and also successfully testing the engine for a hypersonic missile. All these are essential to defend the independence and sovereignty of people's Korea, which is, the bastion of true socialism and bastion of anti-imperialism in the world. That are all the imperialists, particularly the US imperialists, but also British imperialists, want to knock down. And I'd set the subject for tonight has been, looking at anti-DPRK propaganda. And, it goes without saying there is so much of it. And I thought I would take a general approach rather than, looking at some of the rubbish that is churned out. And I think, it goes without saying that the DPRK is demonized on an industrial scale, almost 24/7. So it's actually, you'd probably tie yourself in knots if you tried to refute every single story against people's career. And it's, so-called defectors like everyone's favourite, the human rights doll, Miss Plastic. They've actually been weaponised against the DPRK. They are basically like a shock brigade in the psychological warfare of imperialism against people's career, and of course they are paid very handsomely for that. I mean, the people behind Miss Park are backed by apparently some of the credit card companies, and it's worth remembering when you use your credit card and run up huge debts on it, where all that money might be going. Anyway, let's get down to brass tacks here. The DPRK, or People's Korea, or JUCHE Korea, is a genuine socialist country, despite the raging winds of anti-socialism and the new wave of post-modernist anti-communism. This very virulent and nasty form of anti-communism that's existed since the collapse of the USSR. Many of us thought that anti-communism would go away with the collapse of the USSR, but in fact, it's got worse. It's taking new forms, and like AIDS or COVID-19, it's actually anti-communism has actually mutated. Anyway, despite anti-communism, socialism, People's Korea is maintaining socialist principles, and despite 70 years of sanctions and blockade plus natural disasters, the DPRK has been able to implement genuine popular welfare policies such as free education, free housing, free medical care, and low-cost public transport, low-cost food, without even taking a penny from its citizens in tax. And quite honestly, I think we should be envying the DPRK. So, what about the sort of lies that are used to demonize the DPRK and try to stifle solidarity with People's Korea and make our life difficult? Firstly, there's the old horse chestnut repeated ad infinitum that, I quote, they are all starving in North Korea, unquote. That there is a famine, quote unquote, or there will be a famine next month or next year or something. and statistics from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, which is not a friend of the DPRK, actually refute this. Rice consumption, according to them, according to the UNFAO, per capita in the DPRK is 99 kilograms per year, which is actually higher than that of South Korea, the wonderful liberal human rights paradise. And this actually approximates to 271 grams of rice per day, which would actually provide uh, free, very generous meals of rice per day. And you know, and I would add that, in my 18 visits to People's Korea, including 3 visits in 2019, I did not see a single person starving, not even in the days of the arduous march in 1996. And, I've written down what I saw in my book, The Famine That Never Was, which I recommend everyone to read. And coming on to another myth, a random one, is that the DPRK has compulsory or mandatory military service. And this is actually in the Wikipedia. And we actually asked about this back in 2017. A group of us were attending the International Festival in praise of the great persons of Mount Pactor, and we were sat on a coach with our guides, and the subject of conscription came up. Someone asked one of the guides, "Oh, didn't you have to serve in the army?" And he said no, and that surprised the person who asked it, because, as I say, it's written in the Wikipedia that it is compulsory. In fact, the normal term of service in the army in People's Korea is actually 3 years. And there's no conscription because everybody wants to join the army to fight the Yankee imperialists and defend the socialist country. So there's no need for conscription. And it is actually worth mentioning who is behind the the Wikipedia. It's actually set up by a right-wing libertarian millionaire called Jimmy Wales. A central allegation against People's Korea that we hear reported all the time, along with the myth of starvation, is that there is massive repression with forced labor camps everywhere. And the evidence for this serious allegation comes from entirely from the so-called defectors. One of these, Shin Dong-hyuk, was indeed imprisoned, but not from birth, as he falsely claimed, but he was imprisoned because he had raped an underage girl. So it was actually quite right that he was, uh, given a term of penal servitude uh, by by the DPRK. And in fact, I think it's shameful that the UN and the US imperialists have paraded this disgusting individual around the world as if he's some kind of hero. No, he should really be sent back to the DPRK to face trial and retribution for his terrible crimes. So, what of the claims about human rights? Well, if the labour camps existed on the scale claimed by Western politicians, journalists, and so-called experts. They would have to be massive, with a huge number of guards and huge infrastructure. But I did not see such a thing in the DPRK countryside. Moreover, the DPRK, and I hope these people on this listening to this have also had the privilege of visiting it, like I have. The DPRK is actually very peaceful and calm. You rarely see emergency vehicles rushing through the busy streets. Uh, if what the imperialists said about human rights and forced labour camps in the DPRK was true, then you would see police and security personnel on the streets arresting many people and putting them in lorries to go to labour camps or prison camps. But I did not see such a thing happen. I did not see heavily armed police in the streets that you sometimes encounter in London, either at railway stations or airports or around the Houses of Parliament. Indeed, I was actually able to go for a walk near the Muncie Day Assembly Hall, the home of the DPRK's Supreme People's Assembly, which is the highest organ of legislative power in the DPRK, and I suppose sort of equivalent to Parliament. Now, in London, the area around Parliament is a restricted area where movement is controlled and armed police units are on patrol. But I did not see armed police around the Muncie Day Assembly Hall in the DPRK. Of course, the DPRK is a stable and harmonious, unified society based on single-hearted unity. So there's no terrorism and there's no riots in the DPRK. And there is unity between the armed forces and civilians in the DPRK. And once President Kim Il-sung was actually asked by, I think it was a delegation from Poland. It actually might have been General Jaruzelski himself, saying, was it not a bad idea to have the presidential office near to the university? And President Kim Il Sung replied that the DPRK had nothing to fear from students. There was no student riots or student uprisings in the DPRK because everybody was united and is united. And I also didn't see the police in the DPRK shoot anyone dead, whereas in the USA, which is the country behind the clamour about human rights in the DPRK, the police regularly shoot down people, most of them black. And I can recall my own experience visiting Brazil in 2007 and coming back from a dinner party with the president of the Brazilian Rugby Association. And we had to drive through a poor area, a favela, to get back home. And I witnessed an ugly scene where a Brazilian police officer had a gun held to a young man's head and was pushing him up against a wall. But never, ever have I ever seen such a thing in the DPRK. Another favourite tabloid myth is that there is a limited number of hairstyles allowed, that norms for hairstyles are laid down by the state. Well, our delegation, I think in 2017 or 2016, visited the amazing Munsu water park in Pyongyang. And here you can actually, in the barber shop there, you can get your haircut for €2. It's very reasonable. And we saw pictures of suggested hairstyles on the wall. One of our delegation actually asked, what if you wanted one that was not shown? And the answer came back, we will try our best to do what the customer suggests. Then told the barbers about the stories being floated in the Western media, and they were shocked at the idea. And lastly, I'm going to mention one insidious myth that has been created by the hired bourgeois hack academics and so-called journalists of imperialism. This is the idea that the DPRK is somehow fascist, that it's an ethno-state. And of course, that sounds very rich coming from the US, which is the #1 fascist country in the world, and a country which in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s exported fascism to the third world in the form of numerous military coups, such as the one in Chile, which saw the murderous Pinochet regime come to power, and many progressive Chileans killed, and many Chilean people even came to Britain in exile. So what are the effects? Well, there is no monopoly or finance capital, or basically big business or banks in the DPRK. Fascism and Nazism were simple, actual creations of big business bankers and big landowners. It is a plain fact there would have been no death camps in Nazi Germany if the big capitalist monopolies, such as IG Farben, had not actually constructed them, and if the German banks hadn't actually lent the money to the Nazi state to construct them. Monopoly capital and private business do not exist in the DPRK, which is a socialist country where the people own the resources. There is no class, social group that could benefit from fascism in the DPRK. Fascism in some countries has been associated with extreme expansionism and grabbing other people's territories. Hitler used to rant about living space. However, the DPRK has never tried to seize parts of China or Japan. The DPRK strongly respects the sovereignty of other countries and does not try to invade other people's countries. In today's world, the most expansionist country is the United States, which has bases in hundreds of countries. So some people have actually looked in the wrong place to find fascism. It's not the DPRK, but the US that is where they can find fascism. The JUCHE idea itself is profoundly anti-fascist. It was conceived on the battlefields against Japanese fascism. Comrade Kim Jong-il explicitly condemned fascism and refuted the idea that socialism is totalitarian and is somehow similar to fascism. And he said, and I quote, totalitarianism served as the political idea of fascist dictators. Notorious Hitler in Germany and Mussolini in Hitler used totalitarianism as an ideological tool to justify their fascist dictatorship. The fascist dictators stamped out even the most elementary democratic freedom and rights of the masses of the working people and enforced unprecedentedly tyrannical policies behind the misleading name of National Socialism, claiming that for the sake of the whole nation and whole state, no working class movement and no class struggle could be permitted. The reactionary nature of totalitarianism is that the interests of the working people are sacrificed for the rapacious interests of the reactionary ruling class under the pretense that the individual should be subordinated to the whole. What is meant by the whole in totalitarianism is not the whole of the popular masses, but a tiny handful of privileged circles such as monopoly capitalists, major landowners, reactionary bureaucrats, and warlords. Calling socialism, under which the popular masses are the masters of everything, totalitarianism, is ultimately a preposterous lie which identifies the most progressive idea that reflects the demands of the popular masses with the reactionary idea of fascist rulers. End of quotation. And that is, by the way, from Abuses of Socialism is Intolerable. That was published on the 1st of March 1993. JUCHE advocates the full realization of humans' independence and creativity. So it is the complete opposite to fascism, which stipulates the subordination of the people to the interests of the ruling class. And with regard to fascism, the only fascist state on the Korean Peninsula is South Korea, where communists are suppressed. The national security law uh, imposes jail sentences of 7 years for being a communist, or even for praising the DPRK or having contacts with the DPRK. South Korea is a typical fascist state of the 21st century, like Ukraine. In South Korea, you can find Hitler-themed bars, and check this one out for yourselves. The South Korean army uses the Nazi song Panzer Lied, which finally got banned in Germany. The idea that the DPRK is somehow fascist is just another myth that has been created in the boardroom of a corporate PR company or deep inside the bureaucratic labyrinth of the CIA. The torrent of falsehoods, myths, and lies about the DPRK serve to demonize the DPRK and create an atmosphere in which war against the DPRK could be justified. It's part and parcel of the psychological warfare against the socialist system of the DPRK and the JUCHE idea. And, let's take a look at where a lot of this really comes from. And of course, it goes without saying is a lot of it obviously comes from the South Korean puppets, and it's recycled by the Western mainstream, or if you like, bourgeois or imperialist media, which often print stories that they know for a fact are untrue. But journalists being such a lazy bunch, they just actually copy and paste from South Korean propaganda and serve it up as facts. And of course, you've got various so-called think tanks and specialist websites. There's a whole shadowy cabal of anti-DPRK propagandists based in South Korea. And prime example, of course, is NK News. Hope everybody is booing at the mention of NK News. It's an internet news service which actually has on its staff former US and South Korean army officers. the head and founder of NK News, one Chad Patrick O'Carroll, he even looks like a CIA agent or a Mormon, actually worked for the German Marshall Fund. Now, this is very interesting because German Marshall Fund is actually nothing to do with Germany. It's actually a US institution, and it was denounced by a German whistleblower as a CIA front. And another very nasty anti-DPRK outfit is known as Link or Liberty in North Korea. And a spin-off from them were 3rd who were actually responsible for the terrorist attack on the DPRK embassy in Madrid in February 1919. Anyway, but back to Link. This actually recruits in campuses both in the United States and UK universities. And frankly, it would be good if KFA could actually get into UK universities. I've been saying this for years, and I hope someone will actually take heed and set up a KFA branch in a university. I will return to that subject at the end. And if you look at a few years ago, I looked at the website of Link, and it's very interesting. It said that revenue increased by 27%, but expenditure increased by 49%. Oh dear. That's quite a big gap, isn't it, folks? And it's not hard to guess where the money for this massive shortfall is coming from. What the CIA, the South Korean National Intelligence Service, US multinationals, and of course, wealthy right wing nut jobs in capitalist countries. I would also like to call out a number of so-called academics for spreading disinformation and falsehoods about the DPRK. One is Professor Hazel Smith, who years ago was apparently, I'm told, on good authority, a Trotskyite and a Labour councillor in Lambeth, but she became an open reactionary and has written a number of very nasty anti-DPRK books, such as Hungry for Peace, and she actually attacked KFA once. And guess what? She got awarded a medal by the US. And of course, there is now also a picture book, a book of pictures about the DPRK that's being produced by a certain other character, which we will, at a later date, we will examine and produce a review of this book. My understanding is some of the pictures are okay, but however, the text of the book is actually very hostile because the author of the book is one Glyn Ford or Glyn Fraud, as some people call him. But anyway, we'll be looking at that another time. So, what are the reasons for the hostility to People's Korea? First, pure and simple, it is because the DPRK is a socialist state. It is virtually alone in the world upholding the banner of socialism. The DPRK rejects the capitalist market economy and has a planned economy, and that the 8th Congress of the Workers' Party of Korea, a particular emphasis was placed on socialist planning, or what some like to call central economic planning. Secondly, it's the most independent country in the world that rejects the American empire. It refuses to allow foreign troops or bases on its soil. It is strongly anti-US and anti-imperialist. It carries out strong anti-US, anti-imperialist class education. You've even got like an anti-US museum in the DPRK at Sinchon, and uh, anti-US education centres. Probably People's Korea is probably the only country in the world to carry out such thoroughgoing anti-imperialism, and uh, you know, the DPRK uh, is firmly following the road of independence, JUCHE, and socialism. Marshal Kim Jong-un, has said he will follow in the footsteps of the great leaders, President Kim Il-sung and Chairman Kim Jong-il. And, DPRK is not going down the road of reform and opening up. And it's actually rejected imperialist aid. It rejected, so-called aid from the imperialists when COVID-19 was spread into the DPRK by the South Korean puppets, and it's not allowing aid agencies into the DPRK. This is a contrast to somewhere else, which is asking the UN for assistance, not mentioning that country. And I think at the end of the day, People's Korea is a great model for anti-globalization. It gives lie to the myth that you need globalization, and that globalization is somehow good. It actually, the DPRK's experience shows that globalization is quite wrong, and it's actually great to see a country where you can't find McDonald's or KFC or Starbucks, etc. Anyway, on to the other subject, for tonight, about the need to strengthen KFA UK through activity. As I said at the beginning, we're going to have a real life meeting soon, and there's different online stuff that's going to go ahead. We'd also like to do a picket of the British Brainwashing Corporation in May, and also as part of an international coordinated effort, we will be picketing the US imperialist and maybe South Korean puppet embassies in June. But, for these events, we need your support. We can only go ahead if, with these kind of events, if more people participate, make an effort. Things shouldn't be just left to a couple of people, and it shouldn't be, as someone said, the usual suspects. So, we hope people will make efforts to attend our events. It's very important because I think, particularly real life events are very valuable. It is feet on the ground, as it were, and I think the more people we get at our events, particularly at meetings and pickets, the more effective we will be in defending people's career with no ifs or buts, and we can show to the enemies of people's career, the enemies of JUCHE, that there are people ready to defend people's career and support KFA. Of course, there's all sorts of other ways you can help us. I've said earlier, there's very virulent anti-DPRK propaganda are conducted at universities through organisations like Link, but also by anti-DPRK academics. Some UK universities are being funded by South Korea. And basically, what we need to do is to get KFA materials into universities and actually set up KFA UK branches at universities. It would be a major step forward for us if people could do that. And we've also got the publications program, and you can also donate to KFA. But it's so important to get involved, and would urge people to come uh, to our events. We can hold social activities afterwards if people like. I've held barbecues down at my place. We can go for a meal after a KFA meeting, or some other kind of social event. It can be fun. And, it's a great opportunity for people to meet other people who support people's career with no ifs or buts, and, collectively get together. Anyway, thank people for listening to me, and I'm now going to bring Alan into the stream for him to speak, and then we will answer questions. So over to Alan. I'm adding you now. Can you hear me, Alan?
Yes, I can hear. Hello, everyone. Hello, Dr. Dermot.
Go ahead, Alan.
Today, I will speak about the topic of anti-DPRK propaganda. What I would like to say about this topic is the topic of anti-DPRK propaganda is old, well-known, and very important, actually, topic, which every one of us know. It is also one of the issues for which we conduct our mission in the struggle for truth. This is our mission. It is purpose of action of Korean Friendship Association UK mission led not only by KFI UK but also by other Korean Friendship Association branches and other organizations friendly to DPRK all around the world. The following comparison, which I want to use, it can be used to show the effect of anti-DPRK propaganda. That is, we start with the question why the so-called Western democracies and members of the European Union in Europe built a huge wall, the huge fence wall on the eastern border of Belarus with Poland. That's the question. The fence, the big, huge one, is when the border between the Poland and Belarus been built by many years in the command of Polish ruling classes, which are, of course, not really the Polish, because they are created by different geopolitical goals from West, from USA. But the question is why they build up the big fence. It is not to stop refugees, as they claim, because as data shows, more and more every year Polish people and other countries and Western European citizens decide to immigrate to the east, include the Belarus, because life in the Western pseudo-democracies is becoming more and more difficult, more horrible, and the standard of this life in the West is constantly going down. But this is the reason. It is because that people from the European Union cannot come to Belarus and see with their own eyes how the country is running, how is in the truth. The Belarus is in the truth is completely denial of all the lies of the Western propaganda about alleged poverty, about the regime and political regime and so on. This wall, this fence on the border, actually is the fear of showing the truth And by this comparison, it is similar to the same wall as is in the Poland as a fence to see the country Belarus, to the fence in the media dimensions create the purpose of block and stop the see the truth about TPRK. So the same wall built and constantly renewed and strengthened is the media wall, the propaganda war, in the form of hostile propaganda, tons of lies in the mass media, include the newspapers, radio, television, which separating the PRK from the West for the same reasons like Belarus in the relative to Poland. Actually, this is because the West is afraid of the truth about the DPRK. They are afraid of showing what life there is really like in the DPRK. That's why they create the lies, and that the ordinary citizen of Western countries would be able to see that life is better in the DPRK, and all those made up lies about concentration camps and the regime, just the propaganda invention, nothing more. This is why there is a constant massive attack of Western propaganda in the media, and this is why channels showing the reality of life in the DPRK are being deleted, as it happened recently in our case. Our Korean Friendship Association UK channel on the YouTube was deleted because we're showing the truth. Both with the YouTube channel and also the Facebook been deleted, but not only with us, but also with other organizations that are not afraid to show the truth about the PLK. Uh, their hostile propaganda is in the dimension also to massive scale attack to us, not for every organization, include the KFA, which are not afraid to break the wall, the media wall, to show the truth about DPLK and show to all the world how the reality is in the DPLK. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much, Alan. Very good presentation. Some very good stuff in that. Okay, if people like to put some questions in the chat, we will try our best to answer them. We'll try to run to about 7:30 or about 7:45. Maybe there's a bit of a time lag. While we're waiting for questions, just to say a few things. First of all, myself and Alan, particularly Alan, are working on a new edition of People's Career Today, the April edition, which will be out in April. And we'd also like some feedback from people if they think that we should yeah, whether we should still have it monthly or whether it should be, every uh, twice a month or every 6 months or every quarter. In fact, I might do a poll on that. Right. Okay. Well, some questions. Yeah, thank you, Ben, for your praise and your question about DPRK sending arms to the axis of resistance. Nothing's confirmed. In fact, the DPRK denied actually sending arms to Russia. And I think this is just scapegoating the DPRK for the fact that Ukraine has started to lose the war. The DPRK are has got blamed for it. Yes, and yeah, I mean, we can upload. Yeah, it's a good idea to actually save and re-upload this broadcast to the new KFA UK uh, channel, and also to the Rumble TV channel, because it's good to have it on so many channels. And also, if you got it on more channels, if they take one channel down, then that's then it protects it. So anyway, next question. Yes, welcome, and also welcome, comrades from Turkey, to this broadcast, and thank you for your kind praise. Well, I thought we would get some more questions. While people think up questions, please go ahead, put a question. If you've got questions about all right, okay. Question from Ben. Well, again, a lot of the operational details are kept, are obvious, of the KPA are kept a secret, but the KPA has force services now. It's got the ground force, it's got the navy and the air force, and now it's got the strategic rocket force, the under the General Missile Bureau. uh it has a transport regiment. So my assumption would be that, in fact, you could learn all sorts of skills in the Korean People's Army, like med like first aid, but also driving lorries and tanks, and even railway trains, and things like cooking. Uh, no, I've not actually interviewed a young soldier of the KPA, but some of my guides had been in the KPA, and told me a bit about their experience in the KPA. But again, obviously, the DPRK has to be security conscious, and rightly so. So operational details are not discussed. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, that's not strictly speaking true, because I've written 3 articles in Cover Action magazine, and I'm working on a fourth one. And just to correct the record, I don't actually write articles in the Morning Star. I've had letters published in the Morning Star, not articles. Uh, the the day has yet to be seen when I actually are able to write an article in the Morning Star, without trying to throw stones at anyone. The Morning Star is a revisionist paper, and I think very unlikely to publish my articles, but who knows? They might change one day. And as Alan has correctly pointed out, we are publishing articles in People's Career Today, so you can find articles in People's Career Today and also Independent Star, the the magazine of the British Group for the Study of the JUCHE idea. In fact, I might as well put a link to my cover action articles. Yeah, in answer to Ben's question, in the past there was a lot of coverage to the DPRK's own operating system, Red Star Linux or Linux. Don't ask me how that works because other than using computers, I actually know very little about them. But yeah, I mean, DPRK does have its own operating systems, outside of Microsoft. I mean, just with regard to the issue of writing articles, I also write for the Bangladeshi Daily Folk, which is a coloured daily newspaper in Bangladesh, published by our excellent friend Dr. M. Jangir Khan. So you can you can uh, write. Uh, Right, you can actually read my articles in that. And a long time ago in the past, I wrote for 2 articles for Pravda RU. Right, okay. Well, while we wait for the next question, I would say if there's anyone here who's KFA UK member at a university, I would uh, you know you know, recommend you try to start a KFA branch at your university. If you register KFA as a society at your university, it means KFA can use rooms at that university free of charge. So we can hold meetings in the universities and recruit students to KFA, which is something we should be doing in both KFA Spain and KFA Germany and KFA Italy all have students as members. So this is something we should be doing actively. We should actively pursue. Okay. Right. Any other questions? I thought we'd be deluged by questions. Of course, we've also got a Q&A on the 1st of April. Yes, I'm hoping to go to the DPRK, but I don't like to discuss too much here. And to me, traveling through a certain neighboring country to the DPRK, China, is always a challenge, and I always only believe that I'm in the DPRK when I actually walk through border control and the baggage pickup at Pyongyang Sunan International Airport. um, what about KFA Turkey? Well, okay, well, you know, um, we're happy to collaborate with KFA Turkey. I'm not sure what you actually specifically referring to. Perhaps you could be a bit more specific when you say what about KFA Turkey. Oh, yeah, right. I understand now. Yeah, I was saying that basically KFA Spain, KFA Germany, and KFA Italy all have students as active members. I do not know whether KFA Turkey has students among its active membership, but only know KFA Turkey through Twitter and the you know website, and of course I know the chairman of KFA Turkey. Well, I mean that's a question I would need to put to the DPRK, Ben. For more in-depth answer. I mean the D D D DPRK, has been affected by climate change on one or two occasions. It's taken a number of environmental measures, but uh, I don't know what their standpoint, uh, they actually take on the whole issue of global warming. And I don't know if we will meet respected Marshal Kim Jong Un or Comrade Kim Yo Jong. I'm not sure uh, uh, whether we'd be able to have such an opportunity. Maybe one of them or both of them will be at the functions we attend. Uh, would you consider the Workers' Party of Britain to be revisionist? Well, an interesting question. KFA UK, British Group for the Study of the JUCHE, don't take positions on one political party or another. Um, as to the Workers' Party of Britain, what I can say is so far it's not taken a public position on the DBRK. It's not said whether it supports the DBRK. So really, I'm not going to sort of comment any further on it. Really, I think that should be uh, a subject for another conversation. Really. Okay, next question. Okay, while we wait for more questions, what is the view of the audience here on the frequency of people's create a day? Should it continue monthly, uh, or should the frequency be reduced? I'd like to hear people's opinions. Right, okay, so a couple questions. Does the DPRK have a long-term plan to rely primarily on nuclear energy? The DPRK won't primarily rely on any one form of energy. It will not put its all its eggs in one basket. In the DPRK, obviously, hydroelectric power is very big, but the DPRK has been aiming for a long time to diversify its sort of energy production. So there's other forms of power, such as obviously thermal power, produced by thermal power stations, and yeah, nuclear power has its place. The DPRK is developing civilian nuclear energy, but it will not primarily uh, uh, it will not primarily uh, rely on nuclear energy. I mean, it's also developed solar power, wind power, and something that doesn't exist in this country, geothermal power. Energy from uh, uh, from the Earth's core, which is a very potent source of power. So, I mean, all these forms of power will be um, developed. The DPRK is not like some countries, it's not anti-coal. It does use coal power. That has its place. Yes, I will ask about artificial intelligence in the DPRK. Right, so right. Well, thanks for your comments both on the frequency of people's career and about energy uh, production, and sort of welcome to also warm welcome to comrades from the People's Career Initiative of Poland. Yes, hello, comrades. Right, you know, hopefully there's a few more questions that will keep us going until 7:30. Right, well, perhaps comrades from the People's Career Initiative of Poland might want to put a question. Oh, yes. Oh, no, wait a minute. What are the most common foreign languages taught in the DPRK, and when do children learn them? Well, I can tell you that children start learning foreign languages at primary school. Uh, the main foreign language taught is actually English, but also, as children get older, they can actually learn Russian or Chinese, and in fact, for many years, the main languages taught in the deep foreign languages uh, that were taught in the DPRK were Russian and Chinese, but it's switched to English, and well, uh, that question has already been asked. I mean, I'm hoping to go to the DPRK in April, but I've got my fingers crossed as it will be a complicated journey through China. And about the measures DPRK takes for global warming. Well, the DPRK actively tries to reduce pollution by developing alternative energy sources like solar and wind power and geothermal energy, and also nuclear power, which is clean, and also to reduce the uh, use of cars. On Sundays, people are discouraged from using cars unless it's strictly necessary. And of course, in the DPRK, there is very cheap public and affordable public transport. It's actually virtually free, and you've got the metro, you've got bus, and you've got trolley bus, which again is trolley buses are eco-friendly because they don't they don't cause pollution because they're electric, so they're very good. Yes, thank you. Yes, you did share on social media. Yes, you do know.
Just to say about how the PLK is protect the environmental. Um, It is very, very big and very good public transport, which doesn't expect of the people like in the West countries buying so much cars. For example, in town when I'm living after 6 o'clock p.m. is no bus, which is impossible in other countries. In my opinion, normal countries should run bus even till very late. This is the especially politic tool for people to use the cars, to buying more cars, and the same is affecting the natural environmental. So in the pure case is very very good public transport. So people instead of cars can use public transport, and very often the public transport are not the normal engine for diesel, but just the electric ones, like trolleybus or other things, so on, the train. In everything is the politic to have a less impact to environmental, and also create new place to work for people, create industry for produce the buses, not for cars, which are in the UK, for example, relatively cheap to buy, but to use is very expensive. So different view, different look, different politic, and also in this politic include the protect, defend, protect for environmental nature and the DPOK. Thank you.
Okay, well, this question from Ben about retirement. But basically, there's all kinds of things they people over 60 can do for exercise. These various fitness centres and gyms. A lot of older men like to go fishing. That's a big hobby in the DBRK for older men. Uh, and there's walking. There's all sorts of things that they can do, as well as participating in different collective social and political activities. And of course, you know, people in the DPRK can work beyond retirement age, should they wish to do so. That is also their right to do that. And, you know, some people do work beyond retirement age in the DPRK. That's a fact. Yeah, I mean, obviously, certain heavy jobs, you know, people don't usually work beyond 60, as Alan has pointed out. Right. Okay. Next question, please. I think we can finish at 7:30 unless there's a big last minute rush of questions. Right. Okay. That's an interesting question, Ben. I mean, I'm assuming it's yes, but I mean, again, I would have to ask about that. But I mean, there are many hobby circles in the DPRK that operate, like uh, like uh, you know, making baskets, model planes. That's a hobby in the big hobby in the DPRK. Model planes. There's writing circles. People are encouraged to write. Not sure about woodworking, but imagine that. Uh, that may well be available. Been considering. Well, I mean, I mean, this question keeps coming up. Regularly about the possibility of moving to the DPRK. You can claim asylum in the DPRK if you are a fighter for socialism, independence, and peace and national liberation, and you've actually got a proven record, and that you are being persecuted by the authorities. That's got if you can prove that, you can move to DPRK. Otherwise, there's limited opportunities to work in the DPRK as a foreign languages teacher. And for hardworking KFA members who are trustworthy and have got a proven record, there may be the possibility to study at Kim Il Sung University with KFA's recommendation. And someone's just asked, what is the channel all about? Well, this is Songun007. It's a channel run by myself, Dr. Dermot Hudson, and also the channel of the British Group for the Study of the JUCHE idea, and the association with the study of Songun Politics UK. And we put KFA UK stuff on the channel. We've got restored our KFA channel after it was banned. I'm just going to try and find the link for that and put that in for you. There we are. This is the replacement. Right. The Oh, no, so I've just, banned, the troll, MI, just banned, Jake, Hanrahan, who many people, uh, uh, is an MI5 agent, and I also put a, link to our Rumble, TV, channel as well. 1 minute. This that's our Rumble, channel. And yeah, there is a new book in the works. I'm writing a book called um, The Socialist Fortress of JUCHE, which I hope to complete by the end of year. Ah, and probably next year or the year after, I'm going to write a book about the DPRK's anti-revisionist struggle, and I'm also going to write a book. I've nearly called it. Was going to call it the Great Conspiracy Against KFA, but it's going to be called the Intrigue Against KFA, and it's going to be about various attempts to undermine and destroy KFA, which do exist. I could make mention a couple of names here, but I will not do so. Uh, so you, you know. Uh, Basically, the book that I'm aiming to publish this year will be called The Socialist Fortress of JUCHE, which will be about the DPRK's defence policy. Yeah, well, I'm very glad to hear the good news from Turkey. Okay, we've got 8 minutes for more questions. If you want to ask more questions, you can. Uh, well, again, I will have to. I mean, that's something I will find out when I go to the DPRK because I haven't been there for 5 years. Some use of electric vehicles, happens in the DPRK, but I think it's at a limited stage. I'm not sure about e-bikes. I know they're very popular in London. Some people say they're the best thing since sliced bread. But I will have to find out about the use of e-bikes in the DPRK. I mean, you can hire but normal push bikes in the DPRK apparently, and obviously normal bicycles are widely used. Well, that's right. basically, Trump, I'm not a Trump supporter in any way, but Trump had, basically, uh, suspended a lot of the big exercises against the DPRK, though he did continue with some of the smaller scale exercises. But some of the big ones, he actually pulled, but these got reinstated by, everyone's dear friend, Sleepy Joe or Daft Joe, and I've even heard him called, Pedo Joe. Biden, the imperialist warmonger, reinstated these exercises. And as I said at the beginning, which I think some people might have missed, recently, Freedom Shield was held, with not only just the US imperialists and South Korean puppets, but Britain and Thailand and Australia as well were all involved in these disgraceful and despicable exercises. Yeah, I mean, you would pay for the internet. You'd have to buy a special SIM card for the internet, or you can use the computer and email in your hotel, but there is a charge for it. Okay, next question, please. Right, if there's any more questions, we got 3 minutes for questions. Otherwise, uh, I'm going to sort of shut it down if there's no more questions. The UN seems like a joke. Well, that's a statement, not a question. I agree. The UN is a joke. It is a big joke. It is both a marionette of US imperialism, and it's also a joke. I mean, I consider, I like to think when the UN Security Council meets to condemn the DPRK for missile launches, uh, it is, it's like a lot of people breaking wind. Often think they should try charcoal biscuits or something, or eat less spicy food. Anyway, that's just a bit of British humour for you there. But yeah, I mean, the UN's a joke. It lacks moral authority in the world because it is so corrupt, it's so discredited. It's seen as a tool of the United States and big powers. As to what should take its place, well, that's a difficult question. You've got the non-aligned movement, you've got the group of 77. But I mean, I would say, and this is just a personal opinion, me, Dermot Hudson speaking, not necessarily KFA or the British group of the study of the JUCHE idea, but I would say, how about independent sovereign nations solving their own problems without interference? Do we really need uh, uh, you know a body like the UN anyway? I think that's a question that should be debated, whether we need such a body. I can see strong arguments for and arguments against, but it's not the remit of ourselves to really sort of discuss these things. Lovely simple question. What is your favourite place to visit in the DPRK when you have been there? Well, the DPRK has many places that I like. I like the JUCHE Tower, particularly. It's a place which symbolizes the greatness of the JUCHE, and you've got stones that have been donated from all over the world, at the base of the tower. And when you go up the tower, you've got a wonderful view of Pyongyang looking out over the River Taedong. The Fatherland Liberation War Museum is also a fantastic place to visit. And I also love the International Friendship Exhibition at Mount Moyhung. Very beautiful place, very calm and serene atmosphere, uh, very, very uh, clear air up there. I was told that I should live there because of the clear air, that it would be very good for me. Uh, and the International Friendship Exhibition, it's like a museum of the DPRK's international relations and its ties with the international communist movement. You've got gifts in there sent by Stalin, by Malenkov, by Chairman Mao, all sorts of leaders. It's such a wonderful place to visit, and I would, recommend if you're in the DPRK, that you go and see it. Suddenly a lot of questions at the last minute. Can the DPRK get back together the Black Panthers? Well, I'm not sure. I believe there is now a reformed Black Panther Party in the uh, US. I don't think the DPRK has relations with it. The DPRK supports all anti-imperialist parties, so this possibility they might, uh, you know, establish relations with it, and you know, I don't know about the relationship between um, you know, Bobby Seale or J.J. Cleaver. I mean, in the past, Eldridge Cleaver visited the DPRK a long time ago now, and his daughter was actually born in a DPRK hospital. But as I'm sure people know, Eldridge Cleaver later turned against the Black Panther Party and against progressive politics, even became a member of the US Republican Party. So, I mean, I don't think it would have been very good for him to of the DPRK to maintain relations with him. And in fact, he wrote a very hostile chapter on the DPRK in his book, which is called Soul on Ice. It's very reactionary book. He was a turncoat. Right. Okay, I can take one more question and then we're going to close. Okay, well, I'm going to ask questions. Going once, going twice, gone. So we will close for the evening. Thank everybody for their participation, for their questions. I particularly thank Comrade Alan Bollen for his contribution and also for chipping in with answers to some of the questions. Thank you all very much, and the live broadcast will be back in another 2 or 3 weeks. We're aiming to do these fortnightly or as much as possible. We're here to defend people's career with no ifs or buts. Thank you again, and see you all again soon. Goodbye.